When The Last of the Mohicans premiered in 1992, it became an instant classic, praised for its intense performances, stunning cinematography, and unforgettable score. The film's powerful cast, led by Daniel Day-Lewis, delivered iconic portrayals that left a lasting impression on audiences worldwide. Now, 33 years later in 2025, many fans are wondering what became of the talented actors behind this historical masterpiece. Some went on to achieve great success, while others quietly stepped away from the spotlight or faced heartbreaking personal challenges. Join us as we uncover the fascinating and sometimes tragic journeys of the cast, then and now. Russell Means was born on November 10, 1939, and took on the iconic role of Chingachgook in The Last of the Mohicans, 1992, at the age of 53. Chingachgook, a proud and resilient Mohican elder, is portrayed as a character whose life is a continuous battle for survival and honor. Russell's portrayal of Chingachgook resonated with audiences, painting a picture of a man whose spirit, despite being battered by colonization, remains unbroken. In his career, Russell faced both accolades and struggles. As a prominent activist and actor, he fought tirelessly for Native American rights, using his fame to raise awareness of indigenous issues. His personal life, however, was filled with tumultuous relationships and deep sorrow. He was married twice, once to Pearl Means, with whom he had 4 children. His first marriage ended in divorce, and his second was marred by similar difficulties. Despite being a father of several children, Russell was estranged from many of them for long periods, contributing to a sense of isolation that haunted him throughout his life. His struggles also extended to his health, with Russell battling cancer in his later years. The pain of losing his culture, along with his health and family issues, contributed to his profound emotional battles. Russell passed away on October 22, 2012, at the age of 72, after a battle with esophageal cancer. Patrice Chéreau, born on November 2, 1944, portrayed General Montcalm in The Last of the Mohicans, 1992, at the age of 48, embodying a leader torn between military duty and the harsh realities of his situation. Montcalm, though portrayed as a capable and strategic officer, also reveals the loneliness of a man burdened with the weight of war and the cost of his decisions. Patrice's career was distinguished by his brilliant work in both theater and film, yet it was riddled with struggles that painted his artistic journey with a sense of sadness. His personal life mirrored some of the complexity of his characters, full of relationships that did not end in happiness. Patrice had a tumultuous love life, with marriages that ended in heartbreak and affairs that led to long periods of personal turmoil. His relationships with his family were strained, as his work consumed him to the point of neglecting the people closest to him. Patrice's life was full of unresolved inner conflicts, and though his artistic vision brought him acclaim, it was never enough to provide him the inner peace he so desperately sought. The final chapter of his life was tragically marked by his battle with lung cancer, a disease that claimed him on October 7, 2013, when he was 68. Maurice Rose, born on March 19, 1937, brought to life Colonel Edmund Munro in The Last of the Mohicans, 1992, portraying the aging British officer with a sense of weary duty. Maurice was 55 years old when he played Munro, a character whose life was riddled with the kind of sacrifice that leaves one spiritually broken. Maurice's career was long and varied, with numerous roles across both film and television, yet it was filled with disappointments that mirrored Munro's tragic journey. As much as Maurice found success in his craft, his personal life was one of quiet heartbreak. In his younger years, Maurice married and had children, but his relationship suffered due to the stresses of his demanding career. His marriage ended in separation, and he lived much of his life in relative solitude. His loneliness was compounded by the emotional toll his career took on him. Although his professional life thrived, Maurice was often consumed by personal demons, including struggles with depression. A dedicated artist, his darker battles behind the scenes were not known to many. The challenges he faced personally, including a deep sense of regret over lost relationships and missed opportunities for happiness, only intensified as he grew older. Morris's death on July 14, 2020, at the age of 83, from complications following an illness. Dennis Banks, born on April 12, 1937, played Anjouascan in The Last of the Mohicans, 1992, at the age of 55. Anjouascan is a warrior who symbolizes the fierce determination of his people, yet there is a sadness in his character, reflecting the loss of his culture and the inevitable erosion of his way of life. Dennis's career was an amalgamation of activism and acting, but it was marked by the pain of being torn between two worlds. A co-founder of the American Indian movement, Dennis's life was dedicated to advocating for the rights of Native Americans, yet his personal life was filled with struggles and hardship. He was married several times, with multiple children from different relationships, but his love life was far from peaceful. His marriages ended in divorce, and his relationships with his children were often strained, as his activism consumed much of his time and energy. Dennis's health deteriorated over the years, and he battled several chronic conditions that left him weakened. His personal struggles were compounded by the tragic losses of close friends and allies throughout his activism, leading him to feel isolated in his later years. His death on October 29, 2017, at the age of 80, from complications following pneumonia, marked the end of a life that had been devoted to fighting for others but left him with little peace of mind. Pete Postlethwaite, born on February 7, 1946, played Captain Beams in The Last of the Mohicans, 1992, at the age of 46. Captain Beams is a dutiful and disciplined officer, but beneath his exterior lies a man wrestling with the cost of loyalty and blind obedience to authority. Pete's career, while successful, was not without its struggles. Known for his incredible depth as an actor, Pete often faced battles against typecasting and the challenge of being recognized for roles that truly showcased his talent. His personal life was marked by tragedies and difficult relationships. Pete married and had children, but his marriage faced difficulties that led to separation. His professional success did little to compensate for the emotional toll his personal life took on him, and the pressures of being in the public eye often led to personal isolation. His health began to deteriorate in the early 2000s, and Pete was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, a battle that he faced with great strength, but it was a fight he ultimately lost. He passed away on January 2, 2011, at the age of 64, leaving behind a legacy of both triumph and personal sorrow. His death was a bitter reminder of the fragility of life and the often overlooked struggles that exist behind the public persona. Daniel Day-Lewis was born on April 29, 1957, and played the role of Hawkeye in The Last of the Mohicans in 1992 at the age of 35. His portrayal of the rugged frontiersman, fiercely loyal to his adopted Mohican family, became iconic, representing a man driven by justice, courage, and an unyielding love for Cora. However, his extreme commitment to roles often led him into deep personal isolation, with the intense preparation for films leaving him mentally and emotionally exhausted. His high-profile relationships, particularly with actress Isabella Gianni, have been notoriously tumultuous. Their relationship, filled with passion and turmoil, ended in a painful split, after which Day-Lewis retreated into complete seclusion. His second marriage to Rebecca Miller, though initially promising, was also tinged with tension and strain, fueled by his erratic lifestyle and deep emotional withdrawal. The heavy weight of his artistic integrity often clashed with his personal happiness, leading to public and private battles with mental health. Day-Lewis's struggles reached their peak when he decided to retire from acting in 2017, only to return for one last film in 2018, before disappearing into seclusion once again. Now in 2025, he is 67 years old. His future remains uncertain, as he lives quietly in County Wicklow, Ireland, seeking peace from the painful ghosts of his past. Eric Schweig was born on June 19, 1967, and played the role of Uncas in The Last of the Mohicans at the age of 25 in 1992. Uncas, the noble warrior torn between his duty to his tribe and his forbidden love for Alice, was a character whose tragic fate echoed the sorrow of Schweig's own life. The actor's career as a Native American star was clouded by the personal darkness that threatened to consume him. Schweig, despite the critical acclaim he received for his role, faced a series of devastating challenges in his personal life. His struggles with addiction were well documented, spiraling into years of substance abuse that ravaged his mental and physical health. His battle with alcoholism was one that consumed him for many years, at times leaving him homeless and alone, despite the fame that came with his breakthrough role. Schweig's relationships suffered under the weight of his addictions, with multiple failed marriages and the alienation of his children. He often spoke of the pain he felt from the deep cultural disconnection he experienced as an indigenous person in Hollywood, a disconnection that led him to withdraw from the public eye for years. In 2025, at 57 years old, Schweig is a figure of quiet resilience, though his life continues to be a fragile balance between redemption and the ongoing struggle with his inner demons. Madeleine Stowe was born on August 18, 1958, and took on the role of Cora Monroe in The Last of the Mohicans in 1992, at the age of 34. Her portrayal of the courageous and compassionate Cora, caught between the rigid structures of her British heritage and her love for the free-spirited Hawkeye, showcased her strength as an actress and a woman of resolve. While her career soared, the personal life of Stowe proved to be more complicated and sorrowful. Her marriage to actor Brian Benben, whom she wed in 1982, was filled with difficulties that simmered beneath the surface of their professional lives. The couple faced years of struggle in their union, marked by emotional distance, long separations due to their careers, and battles over their differing desires for family life. Their marriage fractured under the weight of unmet expectations, and despite their efforts, they parted ways in a bitter separation that left Stowe deeply hurt. Adding to her heartbreak, Madeleine struggled with infertility, a devastating blow that clouded her personal life. Despite finding solace in a later relationship and adopting 2 children, her life remains marked by periods of deep solitude, as the trauma of her past continues to haunt her every step. As of 2025, Stowe, now 66, lives quietly and reflects on the personal and professional challenges that defined her life, with no public signs of future acting endeavors. Jodie May was born on May 8, 1975, and played the role of Alice Monroe in The Last of the Mohicans in 1992 at the age of 17. Alice, the innocent and vulnerable daughter caught in a brutal world of violence and war, mirrored Jodie's own life in ways that would prove to be tragically prophetic. Her early success in film gave way to a career that never quite reached its full potential, a source of deep frustration for May. The pressures of growing up in the spotlight proved to be overwhelming, and the intense public scrutiny of her relationships and personal life became unbearable. May's early romances were characterized by the same intensity and fleeting nature as her character's love affair with Uncas, often marked by public breakups and personal heartache. In her 20s, Jodie struggled with a devastating miscarriage, a loss that cast a long shadow over her emotional well-being. She also faced the pain of a failed marriage, which ended in an acrimonious divorce. Her sense of personal isolation grew as she struggled with depression and anxiety, and the bright future that once seemed within reach slipped further from her grasp. By 2025, at 49 years old, Jodie May has largely withdrawn from public life, focusing on her family and quiet existence, though her journey remains a painful reminder of lost potential and the heavy toll of fame. Stephen Waddington was born on November 28, 1968, and portrayed Major Duncan Hayward in The Last of the Mohicans in 1992 at the age of 24. Duncan Hayward's tragic fate, a man of honor and duty, but unable to win Cora's heart, doomed to die in the wilderness, resonated with Stephen's own turbulent journey. Despite the success of his role, Waddington's career was a series of unfulfilled promises. His early success on screen seemed to portend a long and prosperous career, yet his life became a tale of bitter disappointment. The weight of living up to his early potential left him feeling lost, and many of his subsequent roles failed to leave a lasting impact. His personal life was just as troubled. He married actress Kate Buffery, but their union was fraught with misunderstandings and mutual resentment. Their separation was painful, and the divorce left Waddington with a profound sense of failure. The actor's struggles with alcohol and depression further compounded his troubles, leaving him feeling trapped in a cycle of self-doubt and regret. His relationships faltered, and his attempts to find peace within himself were often thwarted by the darkness that seemed to follow him. By 2025, at 56 years old, Waddington has retreated from the public eye, focusing on a quieter existence away from the industry that once held so much promise. Wes Studi, born on December 17, 1947, portrayed Magua in The Last of the Mohicans at the age of 45. As Magua, Studi gave a fierce and haunting performance as a Huron warrior whose vengeful desire to avenge personal betrayals drives his actions. His portrayal of Magua, marked by a blend of deep pain and cold-blooded fury, was one of the film's most memorable and complex performances. However, Studi's career, though significant, faced many barriers as he was often typecast in roles that were restrictive for his full range of acting abilities. Despite his talent, the industry rarely offered him leading roles outside of roles related to his Native American heritage. His personal life faced immense tragedy when his wife, Maura Dhu Studi, passed away after a long and painful battle with illness. This left Studi to navigate fatherhood and his career in the aftermath of such a loss. In addition, Studi has faced difficulties with his health and the realities of aging, but he remains deeply involved in advocacy for Native American rights, using his platform to support underrepresented communities. By 2025, now 77 years old, Studi lives a quieter life, focusing on his family and advocacy, but burdened by grief and memories of lost opportunities and the personal cost of his career. Terry Kinney, born on January 29, 1954, played John Cameron in The Last of the Mohicans at the age of 38. Kinney's character, John Cameron, is a hardworking settler trying to protect his family in the harsh frontier environment, and his performance reflected the emotional weight of survival and sacrifice. Kinney's career spanned both television and theater, but he encountered severe professional challenges, largely due to a series of personal demons. While Kinney experienced initial success, his battle with alcoholism and drug addiction caused significant damage to both his personal and professional life. His marriage to Marcia Clark, with whom he had a daughter, ended in divorce as his addiction spiraled out of control. Kinney's inability to balance his demons with his professional career led to a period of obscurity. He spent years trying to rebuild his life, but the toll it took on his emotional and physical well-being left him scarred. By 2025, at 71, Kinney has distanced himself from the limelight, quietly working through his struggles and attempting to find peace, though the remnants of his past haunt him in his private moments, and his relationship with his daughter remains strained. David Schofield, born on December 13, 1951, portrayed Sergeant Major in The Last of the Mohicans at the age of 41. Schofield's character is a disciplined and steadfast British officer, but his emotional distance and dedication to his duty lead him to neglect his personal relationships. Schofield's career saw some notable work, but he was often relegated to secondary roles that did not allow him to fully realize his potential. His personal life was marred by the collapse of his marriage to Fiona McCarthy, a painful separation that fractured his relationship with their children, especially their daughter Eleanor. Schofield's emotional turmoil was only heightened by the death of his mother in the late 1990s, a loss that sent him spiraling into a deep depression. This period of grief and loneliness led to a sense of isolation, both personally and professionally, as he struggled to move forward. By 2025, at 73, Schofield lives in relative obscurity, still grappling with the emotional toll of his past relationships and career, carrying the burden of regrets that have shaped his later years. Malcolm Story, born on January 13, 1948, played Phelps in The Last of the Mohicans at the age of 44. Phelps is a British officer who clings to duty and military decorum, but the weight of war and personal sacrifice leaves him emotionally distant, a portrayal that resonated deeply in Story's performance. Despite being a seasoned actor, Story's career never reached the heights he expected, often finding himself relegated to supporting roles that didn't showcase his full range. His personal life, marked by a painful divorce from his wife Sarah, left lasting scars, particularly in his relationship with their son, Luke. The breakdown of his marriage, combined with his emotional withdrawal into his work, led to a sense of profound isolation. Story struggled with the weight of these failed connections, and his emotional detachment caused him to retreat further into himself, unable to reconnect with those he had once loved. By 2025, at 77, Story leads a much quieter life, removed from the public eye and reflecting on the lost opportunities in both his career and personal life. The years have not been kind, and he remains a figure haunted by his past mistakes and missed chances. Colm Meaney, born on May 30, 1953, portrayed Major Ambrose in The Last of the Mohicans at the age of 39. Major Ambrose is a disciplined British officer whose sense of duty ultimately isolates him from deeper emotional connections, even as he strives to uphold honor amidst the violence of war. Meaney's portrayal reflected the quiet internal conflict of a man bound by duty and his inevitable unraveling under the weight of war's brutality. Professionally, Meaney's career was marked by success, but he struggled with being typecast in roles that stifled his range as an actor. His personal life was a series of emotional setbacks, with his first marriage to Ines Glorian ending in a painful divorce, which left scars on him emotionally and affected his bond with their 2 children. The heartbreak from this separation compounded his struggles with depression, and he became more reclusive as the years passed. The sense of unfulfilled potential, both in his career and personal life, led to a bitter resignation in the later years. By 2025, at 71, Meaney is a quieter figure in the industry, continuing to work in smaller roles but often reclusive, reflecting on the opportunities he never fully embraced and the deep emotional toll of his past relationships. Who is your favorite character from The Last of the Mohicans? How do you feel knowing that some of the actors have passed away? Don't hesitate to leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this content, please remember to like, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you won't miss future videos. Thank you so much.